Bang!
Welcome everybody back to the Ignorant News podcast. I'm your host, Creative Taro. Fuck, he's always fucking know me by now. We got a pretty awesome guest that we're already having deep conversations about some pretty in-depth stuff already. So I thought, fuck, bro, we better record. So I'm going to hand it over to the bro from the drip feed, brother. I'm going to hand it over to you if you want to introduce yourself.
Yeah, man, a bit nervous, bro. Don't really know. I've never done this before.
Yeah, bro. No, it's all good. Bro. Just me and you having a chat, really, bro. Talking shit.
Yeah. My name's Todd Siverson. I run a page called Drip Feed. I don't know, bro. I'm 30 plus years old and I just still fuck around with sneakers, man. I just can't give it up. So try to make a page out of it and played around for ages and just trying to make a bit of a positive change in the sneaker community in New Zealand, man.
Bro,
that's what it's all about.
Yeah, one of the things I talked to you about was around that stuff and how you were this wasn't word for word, but I'm paraphrasing here, but you're saying that you just want people to be able to access the good shit, right? The stuff that was from a certain era, I suppose.
I'm just trying to shine light on the quality of what Nike were producing back in the day. It's real easy to kind of be like, old shoe, whatever, like colorway is pretty boring, but it's still kind of cool, but I can kind of get that now. Whereas if you compare the two, bro, from say 15 years ago to now, it's night and day. And the problem is a lot of people have only gotten to sneakers recently.
Yep.
So all they almost know from Nike is bad quality sneakers. Whereas you get stuff from back in the day and you feel like the suede or the leather, this is completely different. And it's, I don't know, bro, it's a shame that Nike have gone down this road, but I'm just trying to, I don't know, bro, I'm trying to bring shoes into New Zealand where people can appreciate them for what they are and actually realize these old shoes, even though they're almost 20 years old, they still last. They still have heaps of life. They still can be cleaned up, manipulated to be almost look dead stock again, and they'll last for a long time, bro. A lot of these 20-year-old shoes still have 20-year lifespans left, so
shit, bro, I didn't even know. I didn't even realize that, nor did I think about that.
No, it's like when Nike first came out with all these dunks a year and a half ago, I was all for it, bro. I was everyone can have dunks. It's not going to be impossible anymore to get, because dunks had just gone through the roof once old Travis Scott, started sort of promoting them or putting his name on them and wearing them, and it was just impossible to get them, bro. So when Nike did this push to make a whole heap and get them out so everyone could wear them, I was all for it, bro. I was man, everyone can have something. Everyone can appreciate the shoe that is now, the spotlight's on it, even though I've liked it for 20 years, but now it's the shoe, the it shoe. And then when they started bringing them out, bro, I was I don't even want to wear it. I'll just sell it off, bro. I haven't worn any shoe that the Nike has produced dunk-wise, not SBs, but normal dunks, for the last 18 months. I just can't wear them. They're made out of some sort of I call it pleather, bro. It's plastic leather.
True.
Yeah, and it's a shame because...
Is it across all Nike shoes too, or...?
No, because there's the Nike Dunk, which is just originated from the basketball shoe, but then there's the Nike SB Dunk, which is a skateboard shoe that's used the silhouette of the old basketball shoe. But the SBs, the quality is always pretty good. They don't make that many, so they put a lot more pride into it. But honestly, in the last 18 months, they've just pushed the non-SB Dunk heavy, and it's, I don't know, bro. I'm just been disappointed, really. I don't know. I want people to realize sort of how good the old shoes were and compare the two and realize the value of them. Because the market in New Zealand is actually quite poor for old shoes. Not old Jordans, but old Dunks. Like everyone likes a Jordan 1. Everyone will go crazy for a Jordan 1 or even a Jordan 4. But you present them with like some sort of like random shoe from 2004, like a Dunk that's doesn't have any name attached to it or doesn't have any crazy colorway.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh yeah, whatever. But then you grab it and you feel it, bro. Like the leather is crazy thick.
Yeah.
Like I can manipulate that to look dead stock again pretty much. But the leather quality is that good, which it used to be, but now it's not.
I used to year 13, bro, which was I'm going back, bro, showing my age. 2004. I was in year 13, bro, and I had maroon Dunks, and they were $70, bro.
Yeah. Bro, they sat heavy, like,
and they lasted me a while.
Yeah. Like SB obviously like sort of put a bit more spotlight on it, but as far as like just normal Dunks, bro, when they first come out, like back in the 80s, like. It was kind of like the poor man's Jordan.
Yeah.
Like, it was made. But then Jordan came out about a year later, or maybe like 9 months later with the Jordan 1. And then the Dunk all of a sudden was like, oh, that's old news. You know, like look at this dude that's like rookie of the year. He's going to be scoring like 33 points a game per season. Like everyone wants his shoe. And so all of a sudden the Dunk sort of like fell off straight away. But you look through all the 90s, bro, like, there's pictures of like all these rock bands and all these skaters, like all wearing the high top Dunks, like the old school basketball leather Dunks, just because they were so sturdy, they lasted for ages, and it was kind of like just that, like, I don't know, bro. It was like, I want a cool shoe, but I don't want it to be real loud. And so the Dunk kind of cruised through the 90s as just kind of like that shoe that, I don't know, bro, it just went under the radar when it shouldn't have, really. And then obviously 2000s, like, when SB got a hold, it picked back up, and then it went quiet again, and now it's like fucking crazy.
Shit, yeah. I noticed that too, like, especially on Instagram, the amount of Dunks that are going around.
It's a little bit like, I don't know, bro. I'm in two minds, bro. I'm glad that everyone's getting into them, but then I'm also, I don't know, it's like a shallow sort of fad type. Attention.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of like, but you need to put more attention to it. Like, don't just buy what you see come out from GD Sports or fucking Foot Locker or whatever. Like, go back, do a little bit of research, and look at some of these shoes, bro. And like, yeah, man, you like, I've been doing consignment pairs, and so dudes are sending me shoes, like, and some of them like just randomly old mean shoes, and you get them, and like, you just reminded of how great the quality was, you know. It's like, man, I haven't felt a pair this good for like ever, because they don't make them like that no more.
While you're talking, you're reminding me of like some of the other guests that I've had on had that same feeling around like vintage clothing, right? Like, or even toys and collectibles. There's certain things that kind of trigger memories, right? Nostalgia.
Right.
There we go.
I don't know if you can see, but 1989, bro.
Holy shit.
Yeah, bro. I found it the other week. He's even got the swords and shit.
The very same from Retromania, like that one, straight up.
I sent that to my older brother, and he's like, "That's mine, bro." And I'm like, "No, I bought it the other day."
Not like, that's mine.
You found it under Mum's house, and I'm like, "No, bro, not yours." But yeah, me and my bro, we used to love that shit back in the day.
Bro, I was gonna say, is it kind of like that with shoes for you, or like are there? Because I see you got a Dennis Rodman throwback on.
Oh, it's a Grant Hill one.
Oh, it's a Grant Hill one. Oh, it's 32.
Yeah. But yeah, it's still mean. My first sort of taste of shoes was the Reebok pumps.
Oh yeah,
that's what got me into shoes, I think. Well, that's my earliest memory.
Would that be like around the D Brown era?
Yeah. So that was, well, I think he won the dunk contest in like 91. So 91. I would have been too young for that. But my earliest memory, bro, was like in primary school, and it would have been like maybe 94, 93, 94. And like, you know, when you're a kid, you just believe anything you hear. There's no internet back then. And so some dude would be like, "Oh, bro, have you heard about these shoes?" You hit the the tongue. You
Yeah,
hit the little
the
basketball
basketball.
tongue, and you
Yeah.
can jump high, like twice as high as you normally could. And so we were like, what is this shoe? And so, you look in magazines, like we used to, the old slam magazines. I don't know,
Yeah,
they
bro.
might still make them, but and you'd see it and you'd be like, bro, I need some of those. And like, we weren't poor, but my mom was like, I'm not buying you fucking $300, $250 basketball shoes. You're like 6 years old, 8 years old. Like you can't have them. And
We're off to the warehouse.
Right, and yeah. And so forever, I'm like, man, I'm just, pumps are just it for me. And I remember finally buying some in 2005, bro. It would have been my first year at uni. They came back into fashion, bro. They released a whole bunch more, and everyone at uni, I went to uni in Dunedin, and everyone was wearing them, bro. And I was like, yo, man, bought them. And people just, like, a lot of my mates were like, what are you wearing, bro? Like, it looks ridiculous. And I'm like, what do you mean? You don't know about pumps? And they're like, nah, bro. I'm like, man, you guys grew up fucking not looking at cool stuff. Like, for me, pumps were the best thing ever. And that was my first taste of, like, a shoe that I couldn't have.
That's dope.
And I promised myself when I got older, I would buy it. And that was it, bro. And I still got, I think, 4 pairs in my room right now.
Yeah.
And like you can't really wear them very often because they're so massive and like outside.
Clunky, yeah.
I always, every time I go, like if I go to if I go watch some like drum and bass DJ I really want to watch, or somewhere I know I'm going to be dancing around, bro, like I'll strap them on, bro, and just go hard because like you can tighten them up and you don't feel nothing. Like they're really comfy. Yeah,
that's dope.
Like, that was my first taste of a shoe that I couldn't have but really, really wanted.
That's dope, bro. I love that. So the Reebok started it, eh? I mean, you were always familiar with kicks, right? But the Reebok pump was the...
Oh, bro, back in the like early to mid 90s, Reebok was bigger than Nike. People forget, bro. Like if Nike didn't have Jordan...
What if they had the Kamikazes, right?
Bro, you had like Shaqnosis. Shaq came out and he was sponsored. And then Sean Kemp with the Kamikazes. Like they had like a few big players on lock, bro. Did Reebok.
It was always Reebok and Pepsi versus Nike and Coke, right?
Yeah, pretty much, bro. It's a good like comparison. It was like Reebok fell off hard, but honestly, in the mid 90s, they were, I don't know, bro. I suppose they just obviously won massive on the hump, and then like made a few other shoes after. But by 98, they were like old news. But at the time, everyone wanted Reeboks.
Yeah. Shit, yeah. I remember when RBKs came out. Remember when they kind of like, what was there? Are you familiar with that whole rebrand? Or
I think it was to do, they were trying to jump on like the CrossFit buzz.
Okay.
Was that like the early 2000s? And they tried to like do a whole, like they never used that logo again. Remember, it was like a swish and then 2 swishes underneath it, sort of thing. It was like they just got rid of the whole like logo and started again and did some sort of like weird like hexagon type thing.
I'm trying to remember if the G units were G units.
So early 2000s, bro. That's when 50 Cent got massive, and he did a massive thing with Reebok and did all those like white sneaker, like they look like Air Force Ones without the tick, pretty much, and just had like little branding.
What were those? Fuck, I'm trying to go back now. What were those Jay-Z shoes that came out? The tennis shoe, early 2000s.
They were Reeboks.
I feel like they were Reeboks, bro.
Well, I don't know, bro. I know that they tried hard to get back to where they were, but it just never really worked, man.
Yeah, that's why I remember there was like this transition from like in my mind, the Shaq era Reebok that it was, and then it went into this G Unit RBK kind of buzz.
Like more like streetwear, not like actual sportswear.
Yeah, it wasn't definitely not sportswear. But then I guess they had AI still, so like the questions were still kind of around.
See, they're still re-releasing, bro. I think you could probably go to Reebok.co right now and buy some of those.
Bro, I remember when Hannah's were selling them for $30.
Yeah, bro. Like, yeah, that's funny. Like, my earliest memories was that, and I remember because I went to like a country school. I had probably about 90 people at my primary school, and we didn't have a basketball team. But I was a diehard basketball player, like from 8 till 12, and I was like, bro, I have to play basketball, and so I had to go into town, play like in the second team of like the biggest school in my town, and be that dude that just turned up that no one knew who I was. And the thing was my old man used to go to America all the time, like in the mid-90s, because he was quite up with like placemakers and that.
Okay.
So they would have like big like conventions in LA and shit.
Shit.
And so he'd go over there, and he came back one time, bro, and he bought these Reeboks back. And they're just the most outrageous shoe you would ever see. It's like, man, these are amazing. Like, and then so I wore them. You know, the dude from the country school that turned up to play basketball every like Tuesday night, and I just became known as the dude with the shoes because I had these crazy like metallic purple Reebok things with like bubbles all over them and shit. Like, yeah, bro, and that was kind of it. Like, that's that period of my life was like, oh, shoes are pretty mean, and then it just never stopped. Like, I've always been into it, you know.
Man, that's cool. That's cool. I'm glad you brought up Reebok, bro, because I just feel like a lot of people nowadays don't really talk about Reebok in the same light.
Oh,
even cons,
really forgotten, bro.
Bro, cons don't even get the same love. Like, Weapons are like one of my all-time favorite shoes.
Yeah, I think like a lot of brands from like, you know, the mid-'80s to like 2000-ish, all those brands, like Nike just took over, bro. Whereas, and you look back in the 80s, like Nike wasn't a big deal. No one was wearing Nikes, bro. Like, until Jordan came in, and even like from 85 to 90, like you look at all those ads and stuff, like you had like Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, they're all holding up Converse. They aren't holding up Nikes.
Dr. J.
Yeah. Like, and so
Isaiah.
All these big names, bro. Like, Jordan was pretty much the only one that wore Nikes. And then kind of like from 1990 onwards, you got like David Robinson got signed. Then you got like Charles Barkley, like the Barclays, bro.
Yeah, Barkley got signed.
Back in 91, 92, and then he was like MVP in 93. So like that took off there. But if they didn't sign a couple key players, like Jordan was the only one that Nike was associated with, really.
That's true.
Because like even like, because my favorite player, bro, back then, it's quite funny, but like Hakeem Olajuwon was my favorite player growing up. Random ass, because he's some like African dude, and he's like a 7-foot dude that just, I don't know, like I always thought he was the man. Bro, he had like E-Tonic shoes, and everyone's like, what are E-Tonics? And I'm like, bro, they're the best shoes ever. Like, you have to have E-Tonics. And then like 3 years later, you're like, oh no, actually E-Tonics are shit, bro. Like, no one knows what they are. But, like, I still have a pair in my room, actually. But then he transferred from that to LA Gear. Have you ever had LA Gear shoes, bro?
I remember
in the mid-90s, they sort of started taking off too.
Yeah, I remember Luke Walton was the face for a little bit.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's a bad face, bro.
Yeah, bro.
But like, yeah, like again, my old man came back from America and he had these shoes that lit up in the heel when you stepped on them, bro. And they were LA Gear. And I was like, LA Gear, what is this shit? And then like, there was a couple of players that signed for them. But again, like 3 years later, Nike was just it.
Yeah.
Like, you look at 95 onwards, like Reebok were dying, Adidas were like semi there, but not really. Nike was just it, bro. And now it's just pretty much Nike and Adidas still around.
And even Fila had a bit of time there as well.
Bro, Grant Hill signed with Fila.
Yeah.
And he had his pro shoe.
Yeah, Mo Man had a shoe.
Yeah, I remember that was a pretty big deal. Like, but again, you can't just have one player. You need like a whole bunch, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And you need a long-term, like in terms of marketing, you need a long-term plan.
Yeah, I couldn't rattle off any other name apart from Grant Hill that wore Fila.
Fila, yeah. I feel like maybe a random tennis player, but that's just completely different, I suppose.
Yeah.
Well, even like I think of, when I think of Nike tennis, I think of Andre Agassi, like that era.
Right. If you look back at like what he was wearing in that, bro, he was like a
trendsetter, bro.
Right, for sure. Like I read his book not long ago, and the shit he used to get up to and that, and just how he lived his life. Like, he was the man, bro. Like, you see him and you always think like, who's the guy that used to get mad with everyone? called
Oh,
Monroe.
oh yeah, I know you're talking about it.
Yeah, the dude always used to yell at the umpires and that.
Yeah.
I forget his name, but like everyone was like, "Oh, yeah, he's the man."
McEnroe.
Yeah, McEnroe. Yeah, that's the one. That's the one. Pete McEnroe.
Pete McEnroe.
I think that's his name. But yeah, like he was. Everyone wanted to sort of like copy off him because he was like this like renegade, like do whatever he wants. And then like Andre came in, and he was the man from a real young age. And you look at some of the shit he was wearing, bro. He was wearing like denim shorts, like Stone Cold Steve Austin on the court, bro, and like winning masters.
He was like he always reminded me of Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, it was here, bro. He just had like a mullet, like cut all
with the bandana and shit.
Yeah, bro. Shawn Michaels, yeah. He was
man. The era was so dope. I remember. Do you remember? Did Jonah have? Who was Jonah with? Reebok.
Yeah, I think he was with Reebok actually, bro.
Did he, bro? Did he have a shoe or not? Am I dreaming?
Who did sponsor the All Blacks back then? It wasn't Adidas. I'm not sure who it was.
I remember there was an era after. So I used to go. I'm a counties dude.
Bro, yeah. Well, because I'm from Waiheke, bro, so I'm counties hard.
Oh, right. Okay, I'm from Pookie, so.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, true. Right. I remember running on the field and trying to get Jonah and Joelle Evanderi's.
Bro, I was there.
Right.
I was there.
Yeah.
I remember shortly after he left Wesley and started, fucking being this global superstar he was. I remember Wesley was sponsored, bro, by Nike, I think.
Maybe, probably.
And it was crazy for me because I was like, what fucking high school gets sponsored by Nike?
And I don't know if you ever been to Wesley, bro, but it is not a place that should be getting sponsored by Nike. You know what I mean? Like it's like a real like Christian.
Yeah.
It's not about trying to make money or anything.
It's a religious school, yeah. But I was just like, that for me was an obvious like, Jonah kind of cracked some sort of deal there.
Yeah, it might have been Reebok, bro. I remember I watched a doco, or maybe there was like a mini series on him a while back, and someone like played him and like from when he was like at this height and all that, and the sponsorships he got, bro, and going over to Japan and that, and like like he was like crazy massive. I remember he bought that house in Cracker, bro, down that like
bro.
Before the motorway, just for the bridge, and he went down there, and like, bro, that was like the richest place ever. Like, I remember driving past, like, man.
He was balling with his fusion truck.
Yeah, that's only like where wealthy people live.
Shit, yeah. I remember kicking their ass in rugby or Cracker rugby club.
So you played for Pookie, bro?
I played for Turco, bro.
Oh yeah. Where did you live? Like in between?
Nah, so my family's from Pookie, from Darkside, but I lived in Turco.
Oh, true.
Yeah, went to Turco Primary, Turco College, and then our parents moved us to Hamilton, and then that was
carried on down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm born and raised in Waiheke, bro. I still live here now. I'm right here right now, bro. In Waiheke.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Fuck. I still got family there. Like, I got family there. Uncle still works. I used to work at the steel mill. He might still be there.
Right. Whoever starts working at the steel mill, they never leave the steel mill, bro.
Bro, why would you? Like, fuck.
Oh, I wish I could have job there. I don't work there. but nah, like I went down to Dunedin for uni, and then I lived in Auckland, like up in Ellerslie for, I don't know, maybe 2 years, bro, and then moved to Manukau. I was working at the airport. I still do. But then, I moved back into Waiheke maybe 2013, 14.
Nice.
And just, bro, I bought a house 2016, so I've just been parked there since then.
Bro, there's a shop in Tito, and they've got these old fucking, what do you call the beer glasses? Not glasses, the Steins, Steins. It had a Waiheke rugby football club on it. It was a beauty, bro.
Yeah.
I was tempted to buy it. I was like, fuck. Just because it's from Waiheke, It's like, fucking hell.
Did it have the old red and green colorway on it?
It did, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did.
The mascot's a wolf too, like an old wolf.
I'm gonna have to go back to my stories and hunt that one up in my archives. But bro, you remember Jim Kay down at Karitahi Beach?
Oh yeah, should you?
Yeah,
bro. He was a local legend. We'd go and watch him play like as in Waiuku, like against Pookie and that back before he like made counties and that.
Yeah.
Old man would just drag me to games when I'm like young, bro, and I'm like, I played rugby, I don't want to watch the shit, you know what I mean? And go, oh no, mate, Jim Coe's playing, you know, and I'm like, bro, he ain't made the All Blacks, who cares?
Yeah, well, fuck yeah, I was always because he was a legend, like in our area, but fuck, he's just never quite in that All Black kind of
When you look at some of them, like Joely Banderi and Jonah, like Joely played, like he still works in Mitre 10 and like
I seen the docker,
right now, bro. But like I remember those two, and then that was when the Super 12 started.
Yep.
And so they played for the Chiefs. No, they played for
they played for Blues.
The Blues. Yeah. But then later on, they kind of like started going back down Waikato ways.
Yeah, but Chiefs. Yep.
Those two on the wings, like for the Blues, it was like like two people come out of like the smallest area, and
would they have been the only counties players?
There was who was the center, bro? Marsh. He was a couple of.
Glenn or Tony.
Tony Marsh, bro. He was the center.
There were two of them. Flanker.
Yeah, 7 or 6, bro. Yeah. So those two were the shit as well. But
because they had fucking Dean Shepherd and at fullback. Remember that?
Yeah.
Dean Shepherd there.
Bro, it was trippy, man.
George Laupepe was centre.
Yeah. Looking back now, like running on the field and that, you kind of like you didn't think much of it at the time, but now that's just like that's not what people do anymore. Right, I had like little signature books filled with like all these names. Like I would be like almost like hanging off like Sean Fitzpatrick, like getting his autograph, and he would sign them, bro. He wouldn't just be trying to run off. Like Jeff Wilson, all these players you look back on and you're like, bro, you turned out to be like an absolute rugby legend. And I was like chasing you down on the rugby field, getting your signature as like a 6-year-old kid.
I remember night game in Pookie, Canterbury came up. And I was actually a big Murdens fan for some weird reason, but I hated fucking Justin Marshall, bro.
Yeah.
And I remember at a line out, it was close to where I was on the little bar there, and I remember calling out, Justin, fuck you, bro. And I remember he looked at me, and I sacked it, bro. Dropped my nuts.
That's funny, bro.
But I think he looked at me, saw I was a kid, and just like, fucking little shit. Carried on. But fuck, we lost that game anyway. I remember that much. Fuck.
Yeah, you look at the talent back then, bro. It was crazy. Like, like the Blues and the Crusaders back early in the mid '90s. Right. It was like
Crusaders were mean back then.
Yeah, that's what I mean, bro. You had all these players that like everyone still knows about. Whereas like 10 years later, you don't really have that. But
Mark Meyerhoffler, Norm Berryman.
Like and Cullen was at his peak, bro, like the mid late '90s, and everyone was like, "This is like the greatest player ever." Like, obviously not now, but back at the time, like the shit he was doing, it was crazy. And they were all dispersed real evenly, bro. Like you had like the Highlanders had like Cronfeld and like Cullen and like all these players, and then like Crusaders had, you're just saying Mertens and Marshall and all these players. Like it was all evenly dispersed. They didn't all just go to where they got paid the most. They went to where they lived or where they like played rugby as a kid.
I felt like in the early stages, Auckland was a little bit like that.
Oh no, but that's just where they were based, bro. You look at the whole All Black forward pack was awesome back in the mid '90s. Remember, you had like Fitzpatrick, Dowd, Olo
Brown, yep.
And then you had Robinson. You had Robin Brooke, Ian Jones. All 5 of them are from Auckland.
And then behind
Michael Jones, Zinzan Brooke, and who was the other fellow? Maybe
Andrew Blowers.
Yeah. All of a sudden, you got like 7 or 8. Like they're all Blacks, bro. The only person that would have come in there and taken that spot would have been like Cronfeld.
True.
Hey, all of a sudden you've got like 7 out of 8 of the forwards would have been Auckland back in the mid '90s. Back in like the '95 World Cup, at least.
I'm trying to think who might have contested that pack. Maybe Bull Allen, Norm Hewitt.
Who's the fellow that spit it, dudes? Richard Lowe.
Yeah, Richard Lowe.
But they were all like
fucking Camo Kid. Shit, I forgot about Camo Kid. Camo Kid, Brooke at the lock, Zinni at the back. Michael. Shit. Yeah, fuck. What a pack.
Yeah, bro. All of a sudden you're looking at it and you're like, they're all legends to this day. Well, I think old Robin Brooke kind of got lost in history because he got in the shit for touching some girlie up or something back in the day. But he got drunk and did something dumb. But, like, you know, Ian Jones is still around doing the commentating and that. And old Cronfeld, he's still doing it, bro. He's on, what's that show on Prime with,
He's a cool chap, eh?
oh, yeah, he's doing it, bro. There's a whole bunch of them. Like, bro, I remember it would have been 2007 maybe, and we were walking through, like, Dunedin University, like, Otago Uni, just drunk as with my missus at the time, like, just getting home from a house party, and we ran into old Jeff Wilson. He was shit-faced, bro. And I was like, oh, yo, bro, what's up? Like, you know, talking, and, bro, he was the man. Like, he just wanted to hang out. We ended up, like, parking up by, like, the river next to, like, the kind of like the center of, like, the Otago Uni where, like, the whole clock tower thing is and stuff, and we were on the piss, and he just wanted to hang out, bro. He was the man. I was like, bro, I'm probably never going to talk to you again, but, like, at the time, it was just trippy as it's some random, like, real famous dude in my eyes was, like, willing to hang out and just drink piss. And he was shit-faced, bro. He was just, like, some girl that was like, come on, we need to go home. And he's like, nah, fuck that. Let's hang out with this random dude that's fucking beers, you know?
hang out with this fella from work.
Yeah, and I'm like, Goldie, you're the man. You shouldn't have dropped that ball when old fucking thing tackled you in the corner that time.
Bro, I seen on your page, you're doing is it a bleach soak?
Yeah. I had these shoes that I just never wear, and, like, I don't know. Recently, Nike have brought out these shoes where you can bleach them. They're, like, set up to be bleached.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Like, they're just kind of like the material soaks in, like, dye, and it's just the way it's set up. And I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like, I haven't bought them, but I had some other pair that I don't really wear just because, like, the colorway is a bit, it's not really my thing, but I thought I'll just put some bleach in it and I'll try, like, because they're all brown, so I'll just try whiten it a little bit. So if I do dye it, the dye will come up more. And so I just filled a bucket with, like, half bleach, half water, bro, just chucked them in. Supposed to be in there for, like, 2 hours. Woke up the next day.
Oh, shit.
Pulled them out, and I'm like, oh, actually, they've started to, like, the whole texture of them, bro. Like, it went from being like a nubuck, like a real short-haired suede, into, like, a hardened leather, almost like a weathered brown, like, leather belt, bro. Like, I don't know, the whole texture of it had changed, and the color had changed into a darker brown, not a lighter brown, like a darker brown. I'm like, oh, this looks pretty cool, actually. I'll just chuck them in again, pull them out. I was like, oh, yeah, it's definitely, like, the whole shoe's becoming that same texture. I'll keep doing it. And then, bro, I would have put them in some bleach Monday morning, and pulled them out tonight. And I was like, oh, fuck, I forgot all about them. Bro, the whole shoe is like a different shoe now. It looks completely different. So I just need to completely dry them so they don't just reek of bleach. And I'm going to rock them, bro. I think they look better than what they used to. So it was like an accidental thing.
Oh, man, that's cool.
I don't know if the actual, like, texture of the material will break down over time, because I think the bleach is probably eaten away at it. But as far as, like, well, I don't have them on me, but as far as the actual texture right now, like, yeah, bro, they look mean. So it was like a mistake that turned out pretty well.
Oh, I like that in regards to, like, you know, creatives, right? And they just fucking try shit just to see what happens. Fuck, that's pretty mean. I kind of liken it to that.
It's I don't normally do it, bro. It was just something, I don't know, bro. I seen, like, there's a few pages doing it now, and, like, I followed a guy in America, and he's been dyeing up those shoes plus a couple of other shoes which are made of the same material. And the way they turned out, I'm like, bro, this is mean. Like, if you don't like the color of your shoe, it's that exact material, you can actually dye it and sort of change it into something else. And so I thought, oh, I'll give it a go. And then, yeah, I fucked it up, but it looks all right.
It's a good fucked up.
Yeah. No, like, but I don't know, bro. I've never been into sort of painting or dyeing shoes. I don't know, just because I don't really know what I'm doing, but I think there's enough YouTube and shit out there, and like plus even pages in New Zealand, bro. You look at even you've been talking to the bro. I think it was the first podcast you did. The dude that does all
just for kicks, yeah.
Yeah, bro. Like following him, it's like, man, he makes it look easy, bro. But it's not. like all the taping involved, and like knowing the right like sort of paint to use, and then knowing what to put on afterwards so it doesn't look like it's painted. It looks like it's just that leathers always look like that. It's actually really hard to do, you know?
The process, right? Like there's definitely a process to follow, and I guess a level of talent and artistic flair and da-da-da. That's pretty cool. I like that there's probably an analogy for it. I can't think of it right now, but that like happy mistake, right? Like I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fucking cool.
But I've played around with shoes forever, like
laces and stuff. Or what do you mean by play around with shoes? Like
like on my page, I've actually posted videos of me like decreasing leather and like.
What does that mean, bro? Sorry, I don't know what that means.
Well, like like if you got a shoe and you like, I don't know, say you got on your hands and knees and like bloody crease the shit out of it.
Oh, like decreasing. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So all of a sudden you've got a toe that's just creased. Right. I looked into like leather stretcher type like spray or like some sort of like liquid that you could put on it to like make the leather expand, and then like added heat to it, bro. And like like a lot of people look at my page and they hit me up like I've discovered fire, but really like it's easy to find all these sort of bits of info, and I just kind of put two and two together, and I was like, oh, I might try to put that on there and then just apply some heat with like a whole bunch of pressure underneath, and like it might bring out some creases. Right, like 3-4 goes later, I'm like, bro, I can bring out any crease on any shoe that you have. Like if it's the right sort of leather, not that bullshit leather that I just talked about earlier.
The pleather.
The pleather. But if it's old school thick leather and it's been conditioned enough, because also you got to condition the leather too. Like a lot of people forget about, like they think, oh yeah, the leather's mean, but the leather will be dried out in 20 years. Whereas if you moisturize it, bro, and like it's like skin almost. You chuck like moisturizer on it and you let it soak in, you give it some life, bro, you can manipulate leather as much as you want.
Much like furniture, right? Like leather furniture, and you gotta
like,
put
bro. Like I don't know, bro. The more you play around with leather, you're like, no wonder fucking people back in like the 1500s were making shit out of leather, because it lasts forever, bro, and it's real durable. That's why I stress about the new leather, because it's you can't do that. You can't heat it.
It's designed so that you go buy more, right?
Right. I get if Nike are like, look, we're not making it out of like proper leather anymore because we're trying to save the earth, or we're not trying to kill cows or whatever for their skin so we can make shoes, because they're actually doing like a goal to zero or something to zero like campaign where they're making stuff where they're biodegradable.
Okay.
Like I get that, but they've only just started doing that like in the last 3 months. Like in the last 16 months before that, they've just been making shit out of cheap leather. So they're still doing the same damage to the environment. They're just being cheap about it so they can mass produce them and make more money. And that's my problem with the whole thing.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Like if they just took like a little bit more pride in it, or used just better material, all of a sudden, like, I've got shoes it's my oldest shoe from 1999, bro. So it's just like you guys are like, you're recycling clothing. Instead of them going into landfill, you're like selling them on and spreading them through the community. People are wearing them. If you make shoes that can last forever, well, not forever, but for a long period of time with proper material, bro, you can do the same with shoes.
Should you? Why can't you, right? Like,
so,
bro.
Like Nike are all like, oh, we're trying to be good about the environment. I'm like, right, if you're wanting to be good about the environment, make less shoes and make them better, and they will last for way longer.
Fuck them.
And then they can get recycled around New Zealand, bro.
That makes sense to me, bro.
That's what I've been trying to do. Like, I bring in old shoes, and like I could put them on like Goat, or like put them on eBay or whatever, and like
sell
them
bro.
off.
What's Goat, bro? Sorry.
It's just an app where you can sell and buy used shoes.
Okay.
So
in New Zealand?
Oh, it's like an American company.
Okay.
I think it's based in, I don't know, somewhere on the east coast of America. But anyone can sell a used pair of shoes. It's like StockX, right? You know StockX?
No.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
I heard of it.
Yeah. So it's like an app, but like StockX is more for brand new shoes.
Okay.
You can't sell used shoes. Whereas on Goat, GOAT, like Goat, like Billy Goat, you can actually take a picture of your shoes, put it on that app, and it doesn't matter where you are in the world. If someone likes that shoe and likes the price that you've priced it at, they'll buy it off you, and you then send it to Goat. They like verify it to make sure it's real, and then they'll send it off to the guy that bought it.
Oh, okay.
So it's like an app. It's kind of like connects everyone around the world. So I could like put shoes on Goat and sell them for a bit, but I'm trying to keep shoes in New Zealand, bro.
Yeah.
I think I was listening to you talk to Percy Headwear about it, and he was, how he was saying like New Zealand's got a mean corner of the market for the old school caps. I'm trying to do that with Dunks. You know what I mean? Like I'm trying to bring in shoes and keep them in New Zealand, where all of a sudden like a dude buys them off me, but then say he wears them for a year and then wants to resell them. They're going to get circulated through New Zealand, bro. You know what I mean? And they're going to stay in New Zealand unless someone just completely fucks them. But like if you bring in those like quote unquote grails that everyone wants, and you bring them in, and people keep them like in semi good condition, bro, they'll rotate through New Zealand for like years to come. You know what I mean? That's what I'm trying to do, like trying to bring in enough old shoes that people can first of all appreciate it, and then there's like a little community where people have those shoes in New Zealand. Because as of right now, it's a bit of a uphill battle, but yeah, like if enough people get involved and get into it, bro, like the sky's the limit for what the market can be in New Zealand, Because once they're in New Zealand, they ain't leaving New Zealand. No one's trying to send them across the Pacific Ocean for $50 US. You know what I mean? Like people just want to send them from Napier to Christchurch for $10. You know what I mean? So once they're in New Zealand, they'll stay in New Zealand.
But you got me thinking, like I need to get onto this because I've been lucky in a sense. A lot of the shoes that I've got in my little rotation have been gifted to me, right? Like I got like cousins and my old man. He gets some sneakers every now and then, and he flicks me a pair. I got some 550s dropped off to me about 3 weeks ago. One of the homies locally just dropped them off because that's what you do for the bros, whatever. But I've never had to go to a store or find somewhere to buy sneakers. But now you got me thinking, bro. I'm like, shit. How am I purchasing my shoes? I know how I'm purchasing my clothes. I didn't think about the shoe aspect of it or the element of that. And then while you're talking about keeping them in, I guess, New Zealand's circulation, and you talked about the conditioning of the leather stuff, brand, that got me thinking about, because there still has to be care, right? Like around, And so in terms of your personals, bro, how do you, what's your process in terms of care for your sneakers?
See, I'm a lot of people that deal with old shoes like I have, they've got like a real collector sort of culture, bro. Like they'd rather have a dead stock pair that sits on their shelf for like 15 years.
Yeah.
And just, I don't know, it's weird to me, bro. Like I've never been on that buzz. Like for me, it's kind of like, I just want to keep the rotation moving. Like say if like Foot Locker release a shoe, right? And everyone wants to go line up. I want to go turn up with a shoe that no one else even really knows what they are. They know that they're dunks, but no one knows what they are, right? You want to be that only dude with that pair of shoes. But then 3 weeks later, you turn up somewhere, you don't want to wear the same shoe. So I rotate my shoes that often, bro, that I'll buy them in for me from like wherever, Japan, China, America, and I'll wear them for like a month, and then I'll sell them off, bro. Maybe for a little bit more, maybe even not, maybe just for the same price I bought them. But if I keep doing that, bro, everyone thinks I've got like 400,000 pairs of shoes because I've got a different pair of shoes on every month. And really, I don't. I've only got, as of right now, maybe 10 pairs of shoes.
Are you shitting me?
I've only got about 12 pairs of shoes, maybe. maybe a little bit more, but like 12, 15, like, so everyone's like, oh, bro, like, looking at your page, you've got all these shoes. I'm like, bro, I don't have those anymore. I've worn them for a while, and then I shoot them off. Like, and sometimes I regret it.
Dope.
Sometimes you're like, man, I shouldn't have sold those, or like, I thought I'd come up. I thought I'd come across them later, and I just haven't. Like, so you kind of regret it. But I just want to keep it moving, bro. Like, I don't want to just sit on a pair and put them on my shelf and only wear them like once or twice a year. I want to like wear them 5 times, 10 times a month, and then like send them off. Like maybe make $50 to $100 off them, and then use that little bit of income to just spend it on the next pair of shoes that I've like imported in, and then I'll wear them. Like if you look at my page, bro, I don't really sell shoes that aren't my size. They're all from like 9.5 to 10.5 because that's what I can wear. Like depending on the model of the shoe. I when I'm looking at buying a shoe, it's always my size. I'm not just looking for a shoe to sell. I'm looking at a shoe to wear, and then I'll sell it later.
That's dope.
And yeah, bro, and that's kind of how I set it up. Like a lot of people think, oh, you're a reseller. And I'm like, well, I buy it for me, but then I'll resell it later. But I'm not just trying to buy a shoe like, oh, bro, I can make money off that dude.
Yeah.
I'm going to buy that for $200 and sell it for $300. I'm like, bro, I'll buy that off you for $250, wear it, and maybe sell it for $280. Like, I'm not trying to make money to like, because a lot of these kids these days, bro, they're like, they're at uni or they don't really have a job, so their full-time income is selling shoes. Bro, I've had a full-time job for 12 years. Like, I've bought a house. Like, I don't, like, that sort of money is not really a big thing for me anymore. It's just more pocket money, like, that I can use on another shoe later. So if I bring a shoe in, I'm wearing it for a little while. I'm rocking it. You'll put pictures on the gram and people go, oh, bro, mean shoe. And then you'll post it up and everyone's like, oh, bro, I seen him wearing it like 3 or 4 weeks ago. So you've almost promoted the shoe before you post it up. And everyone's like, oh, bro, like, if you're at 9.5 to 10.5, my page is mean, bro, because that's all I sell. Like,
because in a few months' time, you got some shoes.
If I see a shoe like that's like an 8 or a 12, because people always hit me up for 12s. They're like, oh, bro, it's got 12, 13s. Will you hit me up for 14?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, bro, like, the thing is, I'm not looking for those shoes, bro. Like, if I see it, if it just randomly comes up, I'll buy it. Like, if it's a good deal, but I'm not looking for a 12 or a 13 or a 14.
That's dope. I like that.
And because people, like, that's funny because, shops like Loaded and all that, they'll actually block resale pages. And, bro, my page has been, like, blocked from a couple of websites, like, from their Instagram accounts, because they think I'm a reseller. I'm like, well, I'm not really a reseller. Like, I'll buy them, but I'm wearing the shit. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not, I don't put my name in for a raffle just so I can make money off it. Like, I'm wearing that shit for at least a month, and then I'll sell it off. So even if I score a brand new pair of shoes, like, I'm wearing them for at least a little while.
That's interesting, that whole blocking thing. Didn't realize that.
Oh, bro, like, people will forward me stuff like, oh, bro, look at this raffle, and I'm like, I can't see that, bro. They blocked my page. That's why, like, I never really show my face on my Instagram, just because I didn't want to associate my face with the page, because then you turn up for lineups and they're like, oh, that's that dude that's from that page, bro.
Fuck, that's hardcore.
Yeah. Well, I don't care for retail pairs anymore. I can't even remember the last time I scored a retail pair, so it's not a big deal now. But at the start, bro, it was like, what's going on here? Like, I know I'm trying to, like, I'm buying pairs, but I'm not that dude that's.
Why are they trying to stop a hustle though? I didn't get that.
Yeah, I don't know, bro. I've got mixed feelings about it, man. Like, it's funny. When I first started the page, like, my whole, because I had a collection of Dunks, right? Or just older pairs, a couple of Jordan ones. And I was like, man, I want to sell them off. I'm like, I don't want to use trading because they take your fucking money. They take like 10% of whatever you make or whatever. Facebook was pissing me off just because you've got so many, like, time wasters and just dorkheads or people that don't trust you. So I was like, oh, let me have a look at Instagram. Like, I've got a page, my own personal page, but I might start a page to get some shoes moving. And then I looked into it and I was like, oh, yeah, people, like, there's a few pages out there that are moving shoes for, like, good prices. So I was like, all right, I'll start the page and I'll sell some personals. But again, I didn't have that many personals that I wanted to get rid of, so I didn't have that much like inventory to start a page. So I jumped on like a cook group and started getting involved in like the actual reselling of shoes, like buying Jordan 1s and then reselling them. But I was maybe 3 to 6 months in, and I was like, I don't want to do this shit. Like, it's just not for me, bro. Like, I'm buying like Jordan 1 mids and selling them to like mums that were selling that were for their kids, bro, for like $100 more than retail. And I'm like, this is not what I want to be doing, bro. Like, I just feel not shitting on anyone that does it. Like, you know, just a public service announcement. I'm not trying to shit on anyone that does it. But for me, I couldn't do it. It wasn't my thing. And so I was like, look, what am I passionate about? Old dunks. This is what I've always been fucking around with. Let me like post up some more stuff. I've built some relationships through Instagram, like through people in Japan, America, even China, Philippines. Philippines, bro, is a main market for dunks. And so I was like, okay, I'll build a bit of a market. Let's see if I can bring some in. And then it would just roll from there, bro. And then I just became that dude that sells only old dunks.
Fuck, that's cool. I like that, bro. It's like there's a kaupapa behind what you're doing too. It's not all about trying to make cash or...
like I say, bro, but you know, you're full-time working for 12 years. So like for me, like making $100 off a shoe isn't that deal breaker, bro. Whereas like a lot of young fellas, sort of like 17 to like 20, that $100 is a big deal. So they'll line up for 10 to 12 hours for that shirt to make $150 because that's what it's worth to them. Bro, you couldn't pay me $150 to sit outside a store for 12 hours. You just couldn't do it. Like, even if you gave me a couch and a TV, like, bro, middle of winter, I've seen people on their stories, bro, like sitting out outside of stores for like 12 to 15 hours just to get one pair, not like 5 pairs, one pair of Jordan 1s that they might make $300 off. Yeah. And I'm like, fuck that, bro. Like, I just can't. I'm past that, bro. I'm 30 odd years old. Like, I can't be doing that shit.
I'd
like to come stunt on you, but I'm not doing that. You know what I mean?
I seen maybe on TikTok. There was some similar thing happening. People were lining up at this sneaker store. I don't know. You might know where it is, bro. But the store were making people wear the shoes out.
Oh, I think it was in Japan, bro. It's quite
it was in Japan. Okay.
And like the guys walking out were like, I can't crease them, and they're walking out funny. Yeah, bro. See, like there's even clips of people selling the shoe and then smashing the boxes, so they can't.
Yeah, I've seen that one too. Yeah.
I don't know, bro. Like, again, people are always going to make money off something that people want. It's like getting shitty at someone for sitting next to a river sifting gold, bro. You're like, oh, bro, how dare you sell a mineral that's rolling through the river? I'm like, well, bro, get a fucking, your pan and your fucking sieve and get it going, bro, and you make money too. And that's what these kids are doing. They're sitting outside and they're making money. So you can't get shitty at it. Like I was saying earlier about the PlayStation 5. Like, I want a PlayStation 5. I ain't paying no one $1,200 for it. So I get shitty that people are buying them up. But again, these guys they're sitting there and sorting it out. So when they do get released, they're ready for it, and they're putting in the homework to get the shit. So you can't get mad at someone for hustling to make money. But again, I tried it and it just wasn't my buzz. But it wasn't my thing. It wasn't what it's not what the shoes are for me, bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And yeah, to be honest, like, I don't know. I've been like, I'm a little bit jealous of the vintage community in a way, bro, because you guys are all in it together, kind of. Like, you've got I don't know, like, if someone posts something cool, bro, like, you're all sharing it, or you're all mentioning that dude, like, oh, bro, look at this grail this fella's got. Like, whereas with the shoe community, that's not really happening. Like, I don't know, bro. It's everyone's in it for themselves, and everyone's trying to make a little bit more money, or trying to buy it off you for that little bit less, so they can make that little bit more. Whereas you guys are, because you're all buying it for like quite low prices from the op shops, everyone's in it together, bro. You're all on that same buzz. Like, even like you're talking about like all the vintage snapback team. Like, you look at all that crew, bro. Like, someone posts a mean hat, bro. All 5, 10 pages all sharing that same shit. And I'm like, that's what the shoe community should do, but we don't. We don't do that at all. Like, I try to do it. Like, I'll share it. I'll share, like, today, yesterday, someone, like, a dude I know, he's only, got 800, 900 followers, but he posted a mean shoe. I'm like, bro, people need to see this shit. I'm going to post this up and post this father's page and be like, you need to jump on this shoe, bro, because there's not many of that shoe in New Zealand. Like, people need to, be exposed to what's going on. And like, if someone posts something up that's worthy of, if I think it's cool and it needs to be shared, like, I'm going to share it. Whereas I think the community don't really do that as far as the shoe community.
Yeah. There was one thing, you remind me, some of the things you've talked about, you remind me of the bro, NZ Jersey Hunter. Okay? And me and him have little chats all the time. And I think what me and him always kind of click on is that there's, how I run my page / business or whatever is similar to you, bro. I got a full-time job and this is something that I enjoy doing, right? And it's fun and I love op shopping and thrifting as well. And if I find cool shit mean. But then there's a side of it for me where it's like it's ethical and there's values behind it. Like I'm not trying to, it's more important to me and even to the bro Jersey Hunter that there's a piece that finds a good home that's going to appreciate that shit, much like how you're trying to get, these dunks in circulation in the country as well and, keep them here. And I just find that sort of stuff is more appealing to me. Like I feel like too, like I'd rather be a part of something like that than just to get something that's on trend.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
And I think that's the problem with the shoe community, bro. It's like, you guys are buying old stuff, so there's like a limited amount of it. Whereas with Nike or like Yeezy or whatever, like they're smashing it out every month. Mass-produced thing. And so like, bro, you look. That's kind of why I've always tried to make my page like a personal page kind of thing, because you look at all the stories, bro. You click on like the little icon of their story, right? It's a page that's just showing the same shoe like every day for the same price for like 3 weeks, and I'm like, well, I'm just going to skip past that. Whereas if someone's got a little bit of like personality page and they're showing like how you or like Never Slack Jack's a good example, bro, how he films himself running through like all the shops and playing with the people, like,
pies, skating,
and he's like a man skater. People want to tune into that shit, like that's kind of what you got to bring that buzz into what you're doing. You don't want to just be like, I have this piece and I'm trying to make this off it. You're almost creating that backstory of how you found it, why it's worth so much to you, and hey, bro, you can now have it for this. Like, and you better be quick because this is like a grail. You know what I mean? Whereas, I don't know, I think with shoes, like a lot of the pages, it's just so, I don't know, bro. Pages just get lost because it's just like one after the other. Like this pair that just got released for dead stock for this. Like, and you're just skipping through them like, bro, like show me something that no one else is doing. You know what I mean? And it's not really the case. It's just more.
I found that in the Jersey community in particular, like all the lads, like league and rugby union, like they'll fucking flick on like a something on Facebook Marketplace or in a Facebook group or like something they seen on Trade Me and they know it's my size.
Yeah,
they don't try and buy it and then sell it to me. They're like, bro, go and get that.
and that's it's funny because like I'm part of a couple of Facebook groups in Aussie, like dunk community groups, and like, bro, they're all like retail assisting each other, and like they'll go into a shop and be like, take a picture on the wall and be like, hey, these are available, and like blah blah blah. If anyone's around, come get some. That don't happen in New Zealand. Like a dude last week just sent me some of the like recent SB dunks that came out. Right, like he didn't owe me fuck all. Like I've sold him some pairs and like we've done business together, but he didn't owe me nothing. And he was like, bro, what size are you? Like I'll go down and if I can get that size, I'll get it for you. Dude. Bro, he got me a pair. And I'm like, bro, this has never happened to me before. Dude. I didn't ask him. I didn't he just randomly messaged me and I was like, bro, like I've been
keep him close, my G.
And that's what I mean. Like that's what needs to be happening more in New Zealand, but it's not what happens. It's just more, it's a money grab thing. And like I say, you can't hate on it because a lot of these young fellas, money's important to them. They're trying to make that money. But I don't know, bro. It's good to see that there's still some fellas around in the community that are like like he said to me, like, I'll get this pair for you because I know you're going to rock them. I know you're going to wear them. I know you're not just going to post them up on your page for $300 more and try and make some cash. I know you're actually going to wear them and you've been wanting them. And I live in Waikiki, but I'm like 45 minutes away from any store in Auckland. Like, I can't just, if I see a post on Instagram, hey, we're releasing these right now, there's no way I can get there in time. Yeah. So I can never get a pair for retail. And for him to do that for me, bro, it was massive. It was like, this is...
That's deep. Shout out to him.
Yeah, Ben Eastdown, bro. He's the man.
Solid,
I was like blown away. I was like, bro, that's awesome. It's never happened to me before, but like if it happens more and more, like that's what it needs to happen. Like
that's deep.
I've sorted out people pairs. Like obviously I don't give them away. I have given away free pairs, but like you're making at least a little bit of money. Yep. But I'm not. If I buy it for cheap, then I'm going to sell it for cheap. I'm not going to. Oh, bro, I just bought this 500 pair of shoes for $100. I'm going to sell it 500, make 400. I'll be like, bro, I just spent $100 on a shoe. I'm going to sell it for 250. I'm making $150 like that. Like, and people look at me like I've just done them this massive favor, but it's like, bro, I bought it for fuck all, so you can have it for fuck all.
Yeah,
that's what I think it means. That's how it should work. Whereas, I think the problem with the shoe community is, like I was saying about StockX and GOAT, people look at these apps and look at the prices that people are putting on those apps for those shoes, and they use it as like gospel. Like, bro, this shoe on GOAT or StockX is going for $700. You can have it for $600. Like it's a good deal. And I'm like, bro, that's the market in America for a dead stock pair of that shoe. You've got a used pair in New Zealand, which, bro, no one is going to pay that money. Like,
same with the vintage clothes too, bro. Yeah,
and I don't want to ruin the market by trying to price it that high because I'm ruining it for myself. But if I'm pricing everything at real high, then that's just what everyone else is going to price it at, and that's what everyone expects from me. Whereas if I buy it for cheap, I'm just going to sell it for cheap because people are like, oh, what's the drip feed up to? He's been like, he sells shit for fair prices. I want to jump on and see what he's done. And all of a sudden, people like will message you and just be like, I really appreciate what you're up to. Like, you're not taking advantage of this new trend of dunks. Like, you're selling them for fair prices. And like, I'll buy them and I'll even condition them and shit myself. And so I'm selling them to you and better nick than I bought them.
Dude.
Yeah, because I want you to wear them and I want them to be in circulation for like, bro, I've even bought shoes back off people like a year later. Like, I'll sell them and then they've gone through like 3 people and then I see them on Facebook Marketplace and like, bro, that shoe's still mean. Like, I'll buy that back. And I've bought them back like, bro, it's happened like at least 4 times. And it's good. And it's good to know that shoe's it's in circulation. It's not just been dispersed off to somewhere else and it's gone,
Shit, yeah, that's dope. Damn, that's mean. I like that. I like when you talk about the culture or the community, right? That's been dope to me. That's something that I'm real big on. Like, I'd rather build the community, right, than build my business.
I think the whole vintage community's got a sus, bro. Like, I look at it and I'm like, man, you guys are all on that same buzz. Whereas I don't think, well, first of all, my page isn't really on the same buzz as most pages anyway, but like you guys are all on that same thing. Like, I don't know, bro. It's about nostalgia. It's about like, people our age, like we were saying how old we are and like how we were in that stage of life of like, we were 12 when Stone Cold Steve Austin was like the biggest, baddest motherfucker ever. Like, and so if you see a shirt with Stone Cold that came out back then, right, you had to have that shirt. Yep. I had a shirt with him pulling the fingers on that my mum used to just hate. Like, you can't wear that. And I'm like, but it's Stone Cold Steve Austin. He does what he wants, man. Like, and so if you post that up, I'm like, bro, I have to have that shirt because when I was 12, I loved that. That dude was my hero, bro.
Yep.
And that's what like the whole vintage community is all about. You guys are into like bringing back how you felt when you were young. And as
man. Big time, bro. I like one of the things I love too about the vintage community is I find myself in op shops and I'll see a piece and I think of someone.
Yeah.
I'll think of someone in their page. I'm like, oh, that's their kind of thing.
He's really into their band or something.
Right. And I just instantly bro, same thing what the bro did for you, right? Like, send a picture of it. This is the price in the op shop. Let me know. I'll grab it for you. Just, we'll suss it out later.
Yeah.
And I've done that a few times now. And people have done that for me as well. like people have known, bro, I know you're into this shit. You know, do you want me to get this for you? I'm like, fucking A.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. I think that's what's lacking in the shoe community, bro. Like, obviously with new pairs, it's a little bit different because there's no connection to like the olden days. Like, oh, bro, I know a dude that used to like these because it's all new stuff. But like, I don't know, bro. I feel like sometimes you look at some of these older pairs and like, I have been hit up in the past kind of being like, oh, bro, I know you like these old Dunks. Do you want them? But then they're like, oh, give me 400 for them. And I'm like, bro, $400. Like, you're looking at StockX. Don't look at StockX. You know what I mean? Like,
it's like
we're in New
eBay
Zealand,
for
bro.
us.
Like,
Yeah.
it's like a New Zealand market, bro. Like, keep it New Zealand. Like,
Yep.
don't try transfer it to American market. Keep it New Zealand, bro. And like, if we all kept it New Zealand, bro, the market would be flowing and mean, and there would be no resentment. It would be like, bro, he's selling it for fair price. He's making a little bit of money. Like, you want to make money. You don't want to fuck around and lose money, but you want to make a little bit of money. But then, like, it's just good to know you're passing it on, and some dude's going to be rocking that, like, I don't know, down in Dunedin when you're up in Auckland, and some dude's like got the only pair in New Zealand, and he's looking down like, bro, look at this mean pair that no one has around me. Like, because I think that's also the problem too, is everyone wants to buy the same pair. They'll pay $700 for a shoe that everyone's got. And I'm like, bro, pay half that. And you're the only one in New Zealand with that shoe. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if it's like, it's not Travis Scott colorway or anything like that, but it's going to last you just as long, if not longer. And no one's got that shoe. So it's, for me, that's important, bro.
That reminds me, my old man, bro, was real big. So my old man's a baller. So I grew up playing basketball as well. And he always constantly reminded me and like reiterated to me that, you know, it doesn't matter what kind of shoe you're wearing, what's your stats.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of
that box score looking like at the end.
Yeah. Like, I didn't give a shit if you got the latest Jordans. Can't box out for shit.
Yeah.
Like, what's the point?
Yeah.
So he came from the baller mentality of, you know, wearing sneakers and stuff. And he's like, well, I'll kick your ass on my bare feet. I don't need no, you know, $300 shoe, And that's what he kind of instilled in me. And that's something that I kind of carried over. Even to now, I'm like, I see people wearing J's and I'm like, if I was to say 1v1 right now, like...
Oh, but it's the same with like SB Dunks, bro. Like the Nike skateboarding brand. Like, you see the people lining up. They're not about skateboarding. Like, they haven't been on a skateboard in their life.
Can't pop an ollie. Can't do a kickflip. Yep.
But that's kind of like what shoes do. They kind of transcend through what the sport was, and it becomes something else. Like, yeah, I don't know, bro. It's tough. Like, when Nike SB got big, I was like real shitty because I was like, not that I skateboard fuck all anymore, like just because of, you know, you hit the deck now, you feel it for a week, but especially being like the weight I am now. But but like, you know, back in the day, you'd look at someone and if they were just trying to buy it for like street cred or for like for that sort of like, I don't know, bro, just for that peer recognition, I'm like, what are you buying those for, bro? Like, you don't skateboard, because we only associated them with skateboarding.
Yeah. Whereas
now, like, it's transcended, bro. Like, you see these people that have never, they don't even know what skateboarding is. They couldn't even tell you about Tony Hawk Pro Skater, bro. Like, they've never even played that shit. They don't know what's going on, but they've seen these people on IG wear them, and like, they're a cool looking shoe. They go with a whole bunch of stuff. All of a sudden they're lining up outside the shop and wanting to buy it.
Yeah.
And like, it's hard because I want to hate on it, but then I'm also like, yeah, bro, like, I'm glad you like the shoe because I like the shoe too. And I want more people to like the shoe.
Yeah.
I just don't want it to become a money making tool, which it has become now, but you can't do much about it.
That, you just reminded me of a story. Because I've owned a few pairs of SB Dunks, and I was still wearing sneakers, and I always kind of have. But I never considered myself a head, like never. I just always enjoyed sneakers, and I remember one of my younger sister's friends saying to me, "I think Van started to make a comeback," and I was still rocking sneakers because in my head I'm a baller.
Yeah.
Like that's my culture.
Background,
I'm from a hooping culture. Like that's where I've come from. So this is why I wear these sneakers. Da da da. And then she was like, "Oh, that's fading out now." I was like, "Oh, what's fading out?"
Are you
She's like, "Oh,
I'm only wearing things that everyone else likes."
yeah, yeah." And I was just confused, and I was like, "Oh, these are basketball shoes. I play basketball." She's like, "Oh, it's just no one's wearing them anymore. Fucking ballers are wearing these." Like, what the fuck are you on about? Like,
yeah. Nah, but see that again, it's like that's what's happened through periods of time, bro. Like there's been like these lulls and then these like massive increases in popularity, and like, you can hate on it if you want, because sometimes I do, but again, it's also kind of like when someone's walking down the street, if they've gotten into the dunk and they've looked into it enough and like figured out some history and figured out like, I don't know, the shoe that came out in like 2006 that represents something that like is like connected to them, then and they bought that shoe, then that's cool, because like again, Nike SB, what made them so popular? When I was, what would I have been, 14, 15? When Nike SB first came out, I was actually quite anti it, because I was like, nah, bro, I wear Osiris or I wear DBS. I wear these like massive padded.
There was like a resistance at the beginning,
like, like you can't come in and just take over. But then the way they did it,
Nike conglomerate.
Yeah. But the way they did it, they like associated themes to it and like put connections to it where people can be like, oh, I'm into that shit. Oh, actually, that's the theme of that shoe. Oh, bro, I like that shoe. And so all of a sudden they're buying it based on like a theme that's connected to that shoe. Like, recently they just brought out those Gundam dunks that are like to do with like that Japanese robot.
Oh shit, yeah, I know Gundam, yeah.
And like the ugly, but I wouldn't be able to wear them myself. But if you were hard into that, that
anime,
back in the day, or even recently, like you jump on that shit. You know what I mean? And that's how they get you. Like, they did Grateful Dead dunks, I think the year before that maybe. Like, if you're into that band, you jump on that shit, like, it's mean.
Yep.
And that's how they get you. They kind of suck you in by creating a theme that you can relate to.
That's great
marketing. If you look at the dunk, it's a very basic shoe, but you can make it whatever you want to make it. And that's what SB did. And they kind of took it and ran with it, and now it is what it is today. You know what I mean?
Fuck, that's dope. I remember the Cool Kids made us track. I think they were like Away Spitfire tees and SB dunks, and that song kind of changed for me. I was like, okay, because music influences pop culture and youth culture, right? So when I heard that, I didn't quite get into Spitfire tees, but I did get into the SB dunks though.
It's funny, like you guys selling your vintage tees and stuff. I've been following pages lately that are selling like World Industry tees and like old school skate tees that I wore as a child. Like I've got photos of me like
shorties
out in the gear, bro. Yeah, bro. I've got a couple of shorties tees that I found like
oh shit,
bro. And I'm like, I'm never selling those because like Spitfire, shorties, Howl, World Industry.
Fuck.
Like these were massive hookups, bro. I don't know if you've seen hookup tee,
bro. I had a hookups tee as a kid, man.
Oh, bro, they're going for crazy money in America. Like, I follow a couple of pages. They'll be selling like a hookups tee with like a little graphic, like yay big, on the front, and it's going for like $400.
I had one exactly like that. It was just a small thing of like a girl inside a rectangle, and I copped it because my grandma, she was a taxi driver, and someone had left it in her taxi. Oh, yeah. She brought it home. She's like, oh, because she just assumed that I knew what it was. And gave it to me, and it was a hookups t-shirt. And I didn't know what it was till way later either. So,
oh, bro, they're going for so much money now. Like, it's trippy looking back. Kind of like, man, I wish I'd kept heaps of shit. But, like, again, that's just what it comes down to is nostalgia. What you like when you were young, you want it again now.
Yeah. You know? So basketball and skating, bro, that's something we both have in common because I was pretty hardcore into skating as a young fella. I used to go up to the Manukau Cheapskates, bro. Remember getting up there?
Oh, on Sharkey Street?
I can't remember what she was.
Yeah, it was like the mall was there, but it was opposite.
Yeah, it wasn't in the mall. Yeah.
It was like down a bit.
Yeah, I remember getting there. Remember when Boom was fucking the shit?
Oh, that's a Kiwi brand, bro. I don't know what happened to that. I think it's still around, but
I'm pretty sure they're still around, bro. But fucking Boom was the shit back then.
Bro, I had a mate. It was funny. Like we were 12, 13, right? And he just had his thing, like his parents wrap around his fingers, bro. And then we'd turn up the cheapskates and he'd be like, watch this, bro. I'm going to get like a full deck, full setup, bro. And he would just get the whole thing. And I'm sitting there like, man,
Damn.
like, here's my, like, I don't know, fucking toy machine deck, just like pretty much almost snapped, like my shoe glued up shoes. Like, I need a fucking
The old hot glue
you,
gun.
bro. Yeah. But nah, like I don't know, bro. That's just like periods of my life. It was like basketball, skateboarding, and then back to basketball, and then back to skateboarding. But like I don't do either now. But I still seek out anything to do with either. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I really fucking enjoyed the Olympics, the skating.
Oh, bro, it was mean.
It was cool, man.
I didn't really realize how big it was going to be, but I think, bro, like when I was young, like X Games had kind of just taken off.
Yeah,
and like
it was very early
and stuff. Bro, yeah. Tony Hawk came over and like he skated in New Zealand and Hamilton.
Was that Extreme Air, bro? I went.
Oh, I did too, bro. I was there.
Like, it was at Claudelands.
And Hamilton?
Yeah, at the Claudelands Showgrounds. Bro, yeah, bro.
Yeah. And I was like, I remember watching him being like, bro, this dude did like a 900 like a year and a half ago on TV, and we were like buzzing out.
Bro, I was there, G.
Oh, that's funny, bro. Yeah. Do you used to watch NBA?
No,
basketball?
Kind of, sort of. NBA?
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of. I try to. Nowadays, bro, I just hit the highlights, to be honest. Like,
bro, we went over to OKC.
Oh, shit.
In 2018.
Yeah, see, I've never been to the States. I've been to Canada.
Oh yeah.
But I was in the off season, so the Raptors weren't even playing. But the Blue Jays were on bars.
Yeah. We went specifically for the Thunder, bro, to watch them. They
damn.
It was quite trippy, bro. I moved into my house, and then like my mate moved out, and I was like, I don't want to pay all the mortgage myself. I need a new dude to move in. But none of my mates like wanted to needed a room or anything. So I'm like, fuck, I'm gonna have to get some random dude in, bro. Put an ad on Trade Me, and dude turned up.
Shit.
And I was like, oh, yo, bro, what's up? Like a couple of years younger than me, and we were walking through the house, and I had like the Thunder game paused on TV. He was like, bro, how are you watching this? And I was like, oh, just streaming it legally, like as you do, you know. And he was like, oh, bro. And he started rallying off. I'm like, this dude knows almost as much as me. I'm like, oh, you're a big fan. He's like, yeah, bro. So I was like, oh, okay. I'll talk to a couple of people that, get some references. And my good mate was like, no, he's a good cunt, bro. Like, it's all good. So I was like, oh, you can move in. He moved in. About 3 months later, like, 2/3 through the NBA season, I was like, bro, I can probably fly us over to LA for like $300 each. And he was like, really? And I'm like, yeah, I work for Air New Zealand, bro. I can get us over there for cheap. And he was like, oh. And I was like, bro, should we try to get to OKC and watch some games? I looked into it, bro. They played 4 games in a row, like twice through like a 6 months season. Like, and there was a period where they played 4 home games in a row. And I'm like, okay, we'll time it so we get there and we can watch all 4 games. Bro, went over there, flew like to LA and flew to Dallas, and then like bust up to OKC. And then, watched 4 home games, bro. They played like Houston and the Spurs and maybe the Kings and the Suns, some other teams, bro. But it was like when Adams was playing with like Paul George and Carmelo was in the team, like, and bro, it was just like a dream come true, man. It was buzzy. It was like,
that's cool, bro.
The whole life you've been like, man, I watched this on TV, and now I'm sitting in here watching it.
Yeah,
like,
man.
Yeah. I've been to America a few times, but I never watched an NBA game. I've watched ice hockey games and baseball games, but I've never watched an NBA game. And
I remember
I'm sitting like four rows back from the reserves, bro. Like Stephen Adams could have heard me, bro. I would have,
Jackazy.
Yeah, I'm from New Zealand too, bro. yeah, it was trippy, bro. It was awesome.
That's definitely a bucket list for me. I mean, I've been to a shitload of NBL games here in New Zealand, like finals and shit. But it wasn't until I went to Sydney as a young fella, and my uncle took us to watch the Sydney Kings, that I realized that what we've got back in New Zealand isn't quite, I guess, doesn't have the backing, I suppose.
The atmosphere is not the same.
Nah, because fucking Sydney Kings were playing the Adelaide 36ers, bro, and I was expecting some local gym type with bleachers.
Yeah.
Because sometimes the NBL games are a bit like that. But fuck, I got there, bro. Stadium was packed. Like fucking, they had the works like cheerleaders and shit going on. And this was just in the ANBL. And this was still when Shane Hill was playing, bro. Remember Shane Hill?
Yeah.
He was at Phoenix Suns for a bit. And man, that shit was amazing. And then it made me realize, because my uncle had been to the States and watched the NBA, and he was telling me, like, boys, this is just scratching the surface to what's compared over there, man.
It's trippy, bro. Like not only is like the stadium you're in massive, but like, you know, you walk down like a level and all of a sudden you're in like the biggest like merchandise store ever, and you're just like everything Thunder ever that you've like always wanted, bro.
Yeah, bro.
Like, that jersey of like that player that you could never find in New Zealand, all of a sudden it's just hanging on the rack, bro. You know,
bro. Every player on the team's jersey.
Yeah, bro. We even ran into Andre Robertson, bro. He's like a player on the Thunder. He was injured. He'd like hurt his leg or something, and he was off for like 2 months.
Yeah.
So we were outside a club just randomly. Like, I remember we were like chewing tobacco because that's what you did in Oklahoma, and people were giving me chewing tobacco. And this dude pulled up in this mean ass car, bro, and it was Andre Robertson. He was picking up his brother, and we were just like, what the fuck? Like, you know, for us it's like a major, but it's probably just like some local, like Jim Coe turning up in Waiheke, like you know what I mean? Like
Joelle down at the Bunnings.
Yeah, like down at Mitre 10, bro. But that was like, we're just like, what? How come he's here, bro? Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And he didn't want to take photos with us, but he was like, look, give me your phone. I'll take a picture of myself, but I'm not dealing with you drunk cunts. You know what I mean? We're like, oh, bro, we're from New Zealand too. He's like, yeah, I can tell. But I'm not taking a photo with you. Like, oh, sweet ass, bro.
I met him in Tauranga, bro.
Oh, man.
He came
when he was with Adams and that.
Yeah, he came to the Steve Adams camps. Took a couple of young fellas up to Tauranga and go and train up there. That was awesome. Good dude. Like real good, real good with the kids too. Bro, just usually when we come to the nearing the end of the podcast, bro, I usually ask random questions, like stuff kind of non-related to what we're talking about. But since you're a basketball dude, bro, I want to hear your top 5. Who's your starting 5, bro? All time.
Ooh.
All time starting 5, and I need names and reasons why.
Okay, people will get upset with me, bro. I reckon, but this is I've thought about this.
So let's go, Pete. Where we starting? Point guard?
Yeah. So
we'll
point guard, bro, I'll go John Stockton, and people will get shitty at me.
No, that's all right, bro.
But you look at what he did for how long he did it. And my whole reason behind it is if you've got 4 other mean-ass players, he's probably the best point guard to have because he ain't going to do his own thing. He's going to distribute it to everyone else. You know what I mean? So
he's a bad man.
Bro, people forget. Like, everyone's like, oh, but he never did anything cool. Like, he's got no highlights. But, bro, he averaged like 12 assists for like 15 seasons, bro.
He's buckets.
There's a couple of
check the stats.
Bro, there's a couple of interviews of Gary Payton talking about him.
Bro, messing him up.
And he was like, bro, I hated playing against that pro player. Because he just played the same level all the time. There was no, like, you get in his head and upset him. He just played the same level the whole time. Yeah. So there's the 1. The 2 is obviously Michael Jordan.
Yep.
The 3, a lot of people will probably, well, not a lot of people. I'll say LeBron James. I've had arguments with my mate because he reckons.
Over who? LeBron over who?
Oh, people are like, oh, why don't you give him Kevin Durant? Like, you know, but I'm like, well, he's more of a 4, but he's also, I think LeBron's better in every way. Not now, obviously, because he's a bit old, but like LeBron is just better in every way. And then, to be honest, bro, in the 4, I'll go Hakeem. A lot of people like he's a center, but you look at his height and the way he played, he would be a modern day power forward. He was a 6'10" dude that could like guard on the perimeter. He could shoot, like he didn't shoot threes, but he could shoot like 2 feet from inside the 3-point line.
I wonder if he played this era, whether he played a 3.
Bro, he was like, I seen him like just stripping point guards when they would like isolate him on the 3-point line. He'd just be like, bam, I just got it. And I'm like, no center's doing that, bro.
Nah.
And then 5, I'll probably get Shaq just because it's Shaq. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So all of a sudden you've got everything, bro. You've got like a dude that will distribute, a dude that is just a bucket, and his defense is mean. LeBron in his prime could do everything. He could defend mean. And then those other two, like, no one's scoring on Hakeem. He's got like the leading blocker.
Both ends too.
Yeah, bro. And that's the thing. Like, everyone forgets how good he was on the defensive end. They always see his like mean post moves. But bro, his defense, like, he was probably the best defensive center ever. And then obviously Shaq, put it into Shaq and he'll just get a bucket every time. and I'm talking like young Shaq, not that fat Shaq. I'm talking like that, like
early
like
Lakers.
I'm talking like Orlando Magic.
Like
94 to like 90.
Like coast to coast rebound, dribbling down, and then dunking
bro,
everywhere.
Yeah. You look at that and like it's like, well, who's winning? Who's scoring on that? You know,
that's a good 5, bro. Can't argue.
I know a lot of people are like, oh no, you can't put John Stockton there, but I don't know. But I just think
that's your 5 though. Like,
but if you've got 4 mean ass players, you need someone that's going to like
distribute
the ball to those people, and he'd do that like every 4 game
and give it to you where you want it, how you want it.
Yeah. And then you've also got like Jordan and LeBron that could also play make like part time and save the energy for like scoring. You know what I mean?
Shit. That's a good 5, bro. I must say.
Yeah, like I know a lot of people will be like, "Oh no, you got to put like Magic," or I don't know, bro. Like even people like talk about Curry now, but I don't know, bro. I don't know. I can't go past Stockton, bro. But again, we're that age where we grew up watching that, like John Stockton and Malone.
We know what he's about.
Yeah. And then like I've watched interviews of people talking about him, and there's not one guy who was like, "Oh no, he was." Overrated. Like everyone was like, nah, he's underrated, bro. Turn up in a minivan with his kids and like put 20 and 12 on you easy.
Shit, yeah. He's definitely, between him and Magic, will be my top 2 point guards. I'm super old school though. There's no one recent that's really I think fancy.
It comes down to what era you grew up in, bro. Because a lot of people be like, oh, what about like Kareem or Wilt? I'm like, bro, you watch those 2 play back in the day. If you put them on the court right now, bro, they're like Steven Adams. You know what I mean? They're just like a lumbering dude with like, like I love Steve-O, but let's be honest, he's not the most dynamic, fast moving motherfucker in the world. You know what I mean? He's like they'd just be big dudes that are there to take up space. You know what I mean? Whereas you give like Hakeem the ball. Or even like you look at Tim Duncan in this day and age, bro. I don't think he'd be as good. But he was like a slow lumbering fella. He was just real crafty in the post, and no one plays like that anymore. So what do you got to give something up, bro? You know what I mean? Whereas I just think Hakeem translates the best as far as even David Robinson, bro. Like that dude, they were so quick and athletic for how big they were, and they could shoot from the outside. Like people always like, oh, but they can't shoot. Like Shaq can't shoot. But you watch like Robinson and Hakeem
can
they were shooting from like 2 feet in from the 3-point line with ease. Like if you
even Ewing was shooting.
Right. Ewing was the man too. Like that's funny. When I was 8 years old, bro, my favorite team was the Rockets, and my brother's favorite was the Magic. And we were in LA in '95 when they had the finals, and the Rockets swept them, bro.
Damn.
And I remember being like a real young kid and just like laughing at my brother, like, my team's way better than your team, bro. And like, it was trippy to be in the country when that went down. Like, yeah.
That was the hype.
Right. It was trippy. It was, and even remembering the shit that I bought back then, like, fuck, I wish I had it now, bro. It would be mean. Like, even those little flags, those little flags you buy of all the teams and all that shit.
Yeah,
like, I had so much of that.
What are they called? Pennant flags?
Yeah, I forget what they're called, bro. But like, yeah.
Fuck that, dude. That's a good 5, bro. I'm gonna go one more question, bro. And just skating, man. Who's your guy? If you're playing Tony Hawk's 2.
Ooh, I'll probably go Jeff Rowley, bro.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was always into like the street skating, bro.
Yeah.
It was funny because my mate was all like into the half pipe stuff. He was like, "Oh, bro, Bob Burnquist is the man."
Yeah, Bob.
Like all these fellas like Bucky Lassick and all these. I'm like, man, fuck those dudes, man. Like, have you ever seen like Jamie Thomas or like Jeff Rowley jumping off like 30 stairs? Like, yeah, I always went Jeff Rowley or Jamie Thomas. Jamie Thomas, I think, got added in the second game, but Jeff Rowley was in the first and second game.
I feel like Jamie Thomas came with Tony Hawk.
Yeah. He was like he was the one that jumped off those like massive stairs on that school. I think. It was like
that big gappy.
Yeah.
Set.
I've been playing it recently, bro, and like
Man,
I've got a couple of new players and like old Niger.
Nigel Houston, yeah.
Yeah, but I've been playing as him just because his like, his stats are mean for like grinding. You can grind forever because his balance is amazing.
Yeah.
So you jump on there and you're just doing like, kick flip to nose grind, kick flip to 5-0 for like 3 minutes, bro, and then manual out to whatever, and you get like 100,000 points.
What was your favorite?
Jeff Rowley was my boy, bro.
What was your favorite stage, bro?
Stage? Probably the school, bro.
Yeah. Yes,
like,
it was a good stage, that school, because you could go a lot of different spots there and just.
It was quite open. Like, I know a lot of people that like Venice, but I felt like it was too cramped up.
Mm.
Whereas, like the school, had massive ass grinds like down those stairs, but then you could also, there was that half pipe like on the far end where you could like kind of do half pipe shit if you're a man with a half pipe dude. Bro, that was always probably my favorite. Bro.
Fuck, that's cool. When I played skate on Xbox, I think I bought
the new one recently, bro. I can't do it.
Yeah, I struggled, bro. I was like, oh.
I'm not used to these like complicated buttons, man. I just want to push like, I don't know, right and square and do a kickflip. You know what I mean? I don't want to have to like click all this stuff.
Hold X and let go and ollie, and then I'll do my trick. And
then... triangle for grind, bro. I've still got it on my PlayStation 4, but it's just not for me. It's too, I don't know, bro. Too touchy. You can't get like a big like line going. You just keep crashing or whatever. Yeah.
My the modulator I got at the back, it only goes up to Nintendo, like Super Nintendo, and everything kind of down from there. Oh shit! So I need to put on the
Bro, I've got like an original Nintendo right here sitting.
Oh, dude!
The original one, bro.
Dude.
Bro, we had like I still got the gun somewhere for
Duck Hunt. Yeah, bro. Fucking Duck Hunt.
Yeah, bro. And Marble Madness, that was like our game, bro. I don't know, it was such a random game to have, but there was this game called Marble Madness where you played as a marble and just rolled around the place. Tremendous.
Fucking
and Die Hard, bro. We had Die Hard on there.
I never played Die Hard. Do you remember fucking Echo the Dolphin, bro?
Oh yeah, that was Sega though.
Yeah,
that was a Sega exclusive, bro. Yeah,
bro.
We were Nintendo, and then we never got a Super Nintendo. We moved straight to like Sega, and then just never went back to Nintendo, bro. And like Echo and Alex the Kid and all that shit.
Yeah, fuck yeah. Oh well, bro. Man, that was a mean chat, bro, and I actually learned a lot, especially around the sneaker culture, I think, if that's what it's called. But there's some interesting points that you brought up, bro, that I'm definitely going to take away. Because look, I think about slow fashion, right? Like we're trying to be sustainable in terms of recycling clothing, but you're bringing up a really interesting point for me personally, because I'm thinking to myself, fuck, I don't buy everything secondhand. Like I'm realizing this, I'm like, shit, I need to start looking at sneakers now.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, I don't buy all that much secondhand t-shirts, but lately I have been, just because I start following all you fellas and you keep posting shit I just sort of have to have. But like 2 years ago, I was like, oh, I'm not buying a used shirt. Whereas now, like you look at it and you're like, right, that fellas are selling like a Deftones shirt, bro. And I'm like, man, I used to love those fellas, man. I have to have that shirt. And so all of a sudden I'm paying like $80 for some like worn ass shirt. And it's like, man, I've just been like taken in by it, bro. Like I'm a sucker. But again, like the more I get into it, the more I see the community and how, like I was saying, how cool it is. But I think you guys have got it sussed. We, as street people, we need to sort of follow you guys' lead.
That's dope.
We're not on that same buzz, and I wish we were.
On the kind of thing that I do on the podcast, bro, is I let the guests have the last word, brother, whatever that might be. So a little message for everyone or whatever.
Oh, put me on the spot, bro.
It is, bro. It is one of those ones. Like, and it's not don't try and come out with some fucking Uruguay words of wisdom from Kung Fu Panda shit, bro. Just anything, bro, that comes to mind. Or
well, I'll just thank you for having me on, bro. It's not often that someone wants to listen to me talk shit for 2 hours, so appreciate that, bro. And yeah, like I say, I just appreciate what you fellas are doing on the vintage scene. I think it's mean. Like, I wish I lived closer to places where I could go hunt for the shit, because I can't. I'm out in the wops, so I have to leave it up to you fellas. But yeah, bro, I think what you're doing right now, as far as like, you know, with your page, but then also the podcast, spreading the word, and then looking at other people's sort of angles on stuff, I think it's mean, bro. So
Thanks, my bro.
thanks for having me on.
Bang!